All right, guys, a
Hey.
very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. So we are live for our Q2 Pundi X report 2021. And with us today, we have Joel. Hello, Joel.
Hello, everyone. It's very nice to be here.
Yep, nice to be here. And I think you're checking in at the evening time from Sao Paulo. Am I correct?
Exactly. It's about 11 p.m. now in São Paulo. But yeah, we are with all the energy to make this MAA.
Right, very lively time there. I heard you guys just went to the finals as well.
Yeah, that's true. Against Argentina,
Okay.
that's gonna be fun.
And in fact, this quarter's report is actually focused on various things, including some of the developments in Latin America, something that you will share with us a lot about in the subsequent time today.
That's right.
All right, so I think let's just give it 1 or 2 minutes for everyone to check in. Peko is actually sharing the YouTube link to everyone, so people are actually checking in, and we shall start very soon. And today's agenda is actually segmented into four sections. One is that we want to share a little bit about XPOS. What are the things going on with XPOS, the development, etc., and also the transaction mining that we have just introduced recently. The second, we want to share a little bit about X Mainnet. X Mainnet finally launched after almost 3 years, and it actually launched 2 to 3 days ago, and finally we really got our big project out. So we will share a little bit about the mainnet launch, which is FX Core, and how it relates to Pundi X and also XPOS operation. It's very exciting, and we look forward to getting a lot of things onto X blockchain. The third is actually Pundi X Token. There's been a lot of focus on Pundi X Token, and one of the things we promised to do in 2021 is actually to give more use case and more adoption for the Pundi X Token. And one thing that we will be doing is actually to move Pundi X Token into Pundi X chain on X blockchain, which means that the token will now actually live both in ERC20, which is on Ethereum, and also our X blockchain. So more on that as well. Another one is actually a reward token, which we have actually talked to the community. We have requested feedback from the community, and the response is actually overwhelmingly positive, and we will also see and discuss how to introduce this reward token for Pundi X token holders, both Pundi X and also MPXSM holders. As usual, we will look on quarterly burn, which is the quarterly burning of the Pundi X token, which is a deflationary process. And last but not least, what are we seeing on the Q3 outlook? Lots of things going on in the Q3 outlook, right? So I guess most of the guys have checked in, and I guess, Joel, let's just dive into the presentation right on.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
All right. Go on, please.
All right. So as we said, the focus this session is actually on the Latin American market. But before we start, I would like to also, let you introduce yourself to our audiences. Some people know you, especially people that are involved in the business development side, but there are also token holders that are actually fresh to this space. So tell us, who is Joel, and also how did you get to know about this project?
Right. Okay. So for most of you, I think that doesn't know me. My name is a bit complicated. It's a very uh, Portuguese sounding name, but it's easier if you say Victor. So I'm Brazilian, of course. And I get to know PundiX almost 4 years ago, 4 years more or less. I was part of the community. By that time, we were on the ICO phase, and I was part of the community that was digging a little bit more about the project, getting involved with it. At that time, I was not working with PundiX. So it was me and a couple of other Brazilians in the main Telegram channel. So there was a time that someone asked, "Hey, is there any other Brazilians here?" So I raised my hand, and other 2 or 3 guys showed up. So that was when we asked if we could set up a Brazilian channel, so we could talk in Portuguese about the project and etc. So we created this Telegram channel pre-ICO. And then the Brazilian community started to grow really nicely. And then a community that we started with 3 people, I think now we are almost at 2,000 people after these years. So at the time we started to get involved with the project, and then just after the ICO, I learned that the company was hiring and was looking for someone to work on Latin America. And I was very involved with crypto. I thought there was a very great opportunity, so I applied for that position. And I was after went through a 3-month probation period. I was officially hired by the company. The process was really nice because I spoke to many people in the company, including Zach. So we always have this image that the CEO is someone that you never see, you never talk, and Zach was very friendly, very open, and that was something that made me really even more interested about the company. How open, how nice everyone was. So that was when I started to work with the company. At the time we set it up the office in Brazil after a couple of months that I was with them, and after a while as well we hired some more people to work on support, on customer support and business development. And here we are after 3.5 years more or less that I've been with the company in this very nice journey.
Right. So it's really interesting, João. You actually started as one of the first community member for Pundi X pre-ICO, and that actually goes back to 2017, which means that you have been with us from the very start, the first few months as a token holder. So you are in a way our client, and after a few months in 2018, you actually joined us, and it's actually now 3.5 years, and it's been an exciting journey.
That's right. Really exciting journey. Yes, I was an ICO investor, very interested about the company, and I was very lucky to have that opportunity to work directly in this project. Yeah.
Yes, and like you say, one of the main reason you join us and also the subsequent build up of the Brazilian office is actually to focus on the Latin American market. Latin America is such a huge market that it presents so much opportunity. I've had the opportunity to visit you and also other markets in Latin America. It's diverse and it's huge. So there are so many things going on there since 2018 until now. And we would like to take the opportunity for you to share with us the Latin American market. Tell us your view. I'm sure there's a lot you won't be able to finish, but give us your insights.
Right. I think maybe the most the thing that people have hearing this in these last weeks mostly is about El Salvador, right, which is in Central America. So I think this by itself, I think it shows, how the trend is going around here. In some other countries as well, like Argentina, or even Venezuela, or some other countries in Central America, they face a very hard situation about hyperinflation. So this by itself as well creates this major trend for this major argument, I would say, for Bitcoin, for cryptocurrencies. Um, and the market around here is just huge. When we think about the Americas, of course we think about the United States and Canada, but other not so developed markets like Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, Chile, Colombia, they are just huge markets with a big population, very eager for innovation, for new ways to deal with money, and also to new ways to actually fight against this economic situations as well. So it's just a huge opportunity. I think one of the questions that people might have is why PundiX decided to set up the office in Brazil, and not Argentina or Chile or other country. I think the pretty straightforward answer is um, Brazil is a huge market with a population around 250 million people, so very big by itself. And it is also, I would say, a gate, a door, an entrance door for the whole South America, the whole Latin America. Despite the fact that we speak Portuguese and all the other countries speak Spanish, it is very similar in terms of culture, soccer, these things. So it's very we are very friendly people. So cultural wise, there are lots of similarities between Brazil and the other countries in South America. So from my point of view, there was a very assertive decision, and in these last years, that proved to be right, because we did had so many opportunities. We are having so many opportunities to grow in the Latin American market, and I think the trend is just is just up. Is just up.
Mm, great. And you mentioned something very good, which is using our Sao Paulo office as a gateway to Latin America. And our new office is actually a pretty nice environment, as we see on the screenshot on the background. It's actually
That
a
is
co-working space in Genico.
right, exactly. So just like PundiX, many other companies uh, um, that wants to be in the Latin American market, they choose São Paulo especially, and for that reason, São Paulo, Brazil, becomes this central point in South America. And the Ingenico's headquarters for South America is based in São Paulo, where they have the majority of their team. And recently, more or less 6 months, 1 year ago, I think, they created this very nice sort of co-working space. They actually call this innovation space, where they bring together many startups, many companies, to help them accelerate innovation. So the space is really nice. As you can see in this picture, is old factory that they kind of gave it a new outlook, a new shape. It's a very, very cool environment, and it's been almost 1 year that we were invited by Ingenico to join this innovation space that is being sponsored by them. and it's been really nice to to have the opportunity to interact directly with Ingenico, face to face, almost on the daily basis.
Mm. The other officers are envious of the Sao Paulo office. It's so nice. And it's really
It
true.
is. It is.
A lot of things going on between us and Ingenico, both in Latin America, in Singapore with the APAC HQ, and also in Europe, including France and UK, which is France and HQ and a lot of operation in UK. And I guess we cannot share precisely, but we look forward to having more things coming out between Ingenico, which is now a worldwide company, and also PundiX. And like you said, the whole market, Latin American market, is so big. And I have my own experience and feeling when I get there. When I land in Latin America, the landscape is just so huge and so diverse. And you actually mentioned to us, João, many times the use case over there is also different from the advanced market like Europe or US, Japan, Korea, whereby over in the advanced market, people are actually looking at, speculation, investment, etc. And in the developing market, especially in Latin America, whereby some countries actually experience, deflation value of their currency, and that is actually a different use case altogether. In fact, it is a use case that is more practical and also more real life. So, what exactly is this use case that we are talking about?
Right. I saw this very funny meme a while ago. An American asking to a Brazilian, "Hey, how do you deal with inflation or hyperinflation?" And the answer by the Brazilian was, "We are always living in the inflation. Like we don't have moments in times of inflation. We are always living on it." So I think this is just to illustrate that in many of the countries in Latin America, not only Brazil, in fact, I believe all of the countries have experienced hyperinflation and new currencies, new economic plans in the last 1 or 2 decades. So this is something very fresh in everyone's mind. So the relationship we have with the money around here is, I would say, is very unique. We are always very aware, about the new economic policies, about inflation. We are always very, very aware about that. Very. We are always paying attention closely to that. So I think this by itself, it creates this very welcoming environment for cryptocurrencies, for Bitcoin. As using another example, countries like El Salvador, who have always used USD because they don't have, I would say, the power, or yeah, maybe the power is the right word to have and manage their own currency, or even to to avoid going through these very harsh moments like hyperinflation. They choose to adopt USD, but they also understand that they are uh, they don't have the ability to defend themselves if any economic policy is not going well with USD, for example. So this is another very interesting uh, thing that is going on around Latin America, and many other countries is also are also looking into it, on how they can mitigate the USD effect, this inability to manage economic policies. So it's a very fertile ground. In the last slide, it was also mentioning about Brazil and Argentina, right? So I was talking about El Salvador, but other countries like Colombia as well, Chile, they all went through these bad moments in the economy. So in some countries, like Venezuela and Argentina, for example, the use case for cryptocurrencies are much more urgent, just because you cannot hold your fiat money in the pocket, because in the next day or maybe in the next hour, it will have much less value. But for people really use cryptocurrencies in these countries, as on the daily basis. It has a big usage. As for other countries, for example in Brazil, you mentioned a word that I really like, which is diversity. And Brazil is indeed very diversity, because it embraces and it converges many people from neighbor countries. So you see Argentinians, you see Colombians, you see Mexicans. Um, um, so it's indeed really diverse. And for these people especially, and lots of them are very poor, and they come to Brazil looking for new opportunities to recommence their lives. Um, so in this scenario, and I think it is a very nice use case that worth mentioning. Remittances is a very big need for these people. They come to work and they need to send money back. So there was a use case that we are really exploring around here. Actually, it was on one of the first use cases that we started to work on years ago. And it's been proven to be really 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 nice, especially for this population that are also unbanked, having the opportunity and the chance to use fiat money to buy in the in a corner shop cryptocurrencies and remit it back to their families. It is very rewarding to see these people making such a nice usage of cryptocurrencies. So I think these are some of the trends that are going on here, just to mention a few. But indeed, the opportunities are just so huge, because there is a lack for many innovative solutions that can help people to transact more easily, more freely, and so on.
Mm. It's interesting that you mentioned. My experience there as well is actually also reflective of what's going on. Remember, we were at Argentina, in fact, twice, and it's a very vibrant community. But one thing that is challenging for foreigners was actually to withdraw Argentinian pesos. The withdrawing cost is actually 10% of the withdrawing amount, which I did. And in fact, even withdrawing pesos was actually challenging to find, because we had to find a central bank approved bank, which means that commercial banks don't allow that. So I think our opportunity and challenge there, PundiX, is actually to allow and get people to be able to acquire cryptocurrency as a way to hedge against the local currency volatility. I think that is actually one of the big growth area that we see in Latin America, which we mentioned is very different from other advanced economy. So I think people are getting Bitcoin for their livelihoods consideration. As to someone from the US, which is like, hey, I'm trying to speculate or invest. So it could be a very different scenario. And all right, so AMA time. Firstly, PundiX Chile says hi, our partner from Chile. The second one is actually someone actually asked, what is happening with BNP Paribas and PundiX? Is there anything that we can share that is non-NDA, João?
Now, in fact, not anything we can share. The fact is that this same innovation space that is sponsored by Ingenico is also sponsored by BNP Paribas. So we are, in fact, really working like side by side every day with people from BNP Paribas, from Ingenico. So the conversation sometimes flows, right? But nothing specific that we can share. Yeah.
And I guess it's really, our hands are really tied with some of the big payments company that you are working on in the region, because it's simply not allowed for us to share before the opposite side share, simply because they are such big companies.
Right. Yes, and this is a very nice trend that we see going on here also in Latin America. A while ago, or when we started, the interest was it was much more by merchants, small companies, people looking to entrepreneurs, looking for new endeavors. And most recently, we see so many big companies, institutions, like Ingenico, to use this as an example, looking after solutions that can aggregate Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, blockchain to their portfolio of services. So this is a very nice trend also going on here in Latin America.
Okay. And next, Kubala actually asked, how many expos do we have in Latin America? So we do not share specific numbers from each country, but what we can share is that for the global deployment, we have few thousand expos being deployed. The reason why we don't share it is because of our internal policy, and because some merchants do not wish to share openly that they are operating expos because of the uncertainty of the regulatory landscape in the local market. Okay. Next, we have gotten in contact with El Salvador. In fact, the president of El Salvador actually retweeted our Twitter feed. What's going on in El Salvador? How many expos do we plan to move there? And what's up with MakerDAO with us over there?
All right. So it's been a while that we've been working with MakerDAO. This is a very nice partnership that it's allowing us to distribute exposing in countries such as Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, and now El Salvador as well. So we were very well received by the Salvadoran government. In fact, we already had a couple of calls with not only one guy from the government, but many arms from the government. And together with MakerDAO, we will also be distributing devices to local merchants so they can accept and sell cryptocurrencies easily. Part of this bill that has passed on the Congress in El Salvador, it basically guarantees that for all the Bitcoin that a merchant receives as a payment, the government will guarantee that this Bitcoin will be converted to USD. So and this creates a very nice use case for DAI. As everyone is aware, DAI is a stablecoin pegged to the USD value. And our platform has this very nice ability to instantly convert Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies to DAI and vice versa. So it is very nice for actually it fits very well for the government, our solution. They were very surprised and very happy that this is part of what we can offer, because it really address something that they want to accomplish. So that's what we've been working together with MakerDAO for for El Salvador, and I think it will be a really success.
Yeah, a big shout out to MakerDAO. They've been contacting us and we've been working together on a lot of rollout. And their focus is really to educate the market and create adoption just like us. So very similar. And in fact, apart from companies like MakerDAO, we also have other companies which is actually UI Deban. I hope I pronounced it correctly, which is from Nigeria, which also jumped on the chance to donate to El Salvador. So a big shout out to everyone for really getting on board with us to donate XPOS. And when the Bitcoin law was actually discussed, even before it was approved in Parliament in El Salvador, we were already having a meeting with the team, especially Monica Tahir, which is the person in charge of technologies, economic and international affairs of El Salvador. They've been responding really fast. A few hours after the president announced the initiative, we tweeted, they got in touch, and we actually jumped onto the call. In fact, the call was actually happening a few hours before the parliament session to vote on the law. So you see in the screen, we have you, Pedro, David, and the rest of us. So I think we really have to give a thumbs up to Monica and her team for really getting things moving, including giving us some XPOS location that we can roll out. Nihova, which actually left a question. Have the XPOS unit arrived in El Salvador? So it hasn't arrived yet. We are right now doing a letter of intent and signing an agreement to send the XPOSes there. Correct me if I'm wrong, João. It's actually being prepared to be sent, but it hasn't left the harbor, so to speak.
Yeah, that's right. There are many things that we are working on to make this deployment successful, like logistics, operational, legal, and compliance. So yeah, it hasn't arrived yet, but I think it's something happening really soon. Everyone's really excited about that. So no doubt about that this will be a huge success in El Salvador.
Yes, correct. I mean, it's mainly getting the contract and also the compliance ready for that. When I say contract, it means like a gift, but we also have to sign like a contract, like a agreement on that, even though we don't charge anything. All right, something just came out a few hours ago, João, which is a very exciting partner, which we have been discussing silently, which is a new business model in Turkey. And we shall actually show it to everyone in a video. So here goes. Wow, okay.
So nice. So nice. Yes, a big shout out to Ovo, which are our distributors in Turkey, who made this this really nice thing happen. So yeah, as you said, Zach, we've been working silently on that for the last months. Also having all the operationals, logistics, legal and compliance and all that in place. So we could finally get to this official launch. And for most of the people who haven't understood what this is about, is basically a money exchange office being converted to a crypto exchange office using PundiX solutions, using the XPOS. And just like these ones, this one in the video, we will see many others coming in the next weeks and months. So we are really, really excited about these new developments going on in Turkey. And really also excited about this new business model, which is basically convert or, even create crypto exchange offices using the XPOS, using our solutions, our technology. So this is groundbreaking. I'm very, very honored to be working with OVO in Turkey again. Shout out to OVO, and really looking forward for the next developments, not only in Turkey but also in other countries like this one.
Yes, indeed. Big shout out to OVO for really changing a money exchange into a crypto exchange. It's something everyone's been talking about, and they are the one that dare make it happen. And as you say, Joel, this is the first store of hopefully many that we will be seeing, and it's actually starting in Istanbul, Turkey. In the end,
That's right.
Ask where is the location. We will wait for OVO to announce the location. Let them have the honor, because they have done so much work on the ground, and they will announce the exact location very soon. So a groundbreaking new business model. Hopefully other countries will be able to replicate what Turkey has done.
That's right.
Great. Wait, let me get back to full screen. Okay. All right. So apart from that, there are a lot of new distribution going out around the world, not just in Latin America, not just in Turkey, but also other markets. Do you want to also like give us like a simple sharing on what will we be expecting in this quarter, in Q3?
Definitely. So we are working very closely with potential distributors. Okay, because as I mentioned before, just like El Salvador, there are many things to be arranged, such as logistics, operational, compliance, legal, making sure everything is in place, before we have our first merchant in a new country. And we are working in right now in many countries such as Australia, Argentina, Belgium, New Zealand, Italy, Netherlands, Thailand. So many countries that we are working on with local distributors to implement the XPOS, to make the XPOS available for merchants, for companies. So there are really lots going on the business development side. As I mentioned before, the institutional interest has been growing. So in some of these markets, we are working with very expressive companies, very well-known companies, to distribute the XPOS, to use our solution to democratize the access to cryptocurrencies. So there's lots to come, and just like Turkey, many more countries to be onboarded into our platform in the coming weeks and months.
All right, and there's a slide showing that Argentina is actually planning to follow the footsteps of El Salvador. In fact, not just Argentina, but we're actually highlighting Argentina because we have been trying to get into the market since 2018. Initially, it was slow because there weren't clarity regulatory-wise. Therefore, our partners there weren't really sure if they could take it in a more aggressive or open steps. And right now we are seeing a change. And this slide about Argentina is actually a showcase of how governments are changing their stance globally. Some minority government is choosing to be strict, but we see many are choosing to embrace. And that is actually very evident in Latin America.
That's right, Zach. In many countries, not only in the past but currently, they don't have a very clear regulatory any specific law about crypto, and this sometimes it makes things more difficult because since you don't know to where to navigate, you don't know the direction, it makes the path much longer. But most recently in many countries we've been seeing governments been taking the next step, not necessarily to make Bitcoin legal tender, but to create a regulatory framework that it really address the needs of entrepreneurs, of companies who wants to embrace the technology but didn't know how, and if they could, because of a gray zone around the regulations. Now countries like Argentina, as the example in this slide, are giving this next step and creating this more friendly environment. From my point of view, I think in the end of the day, these people, the government, they understand, that the population can really benefit from that. Of course, they are always afraid to lose the power because if you control the fiat currency, you have more power, and every government is afraid to lose that power. But in the end of the day, and also when people make some pressure, there are lots of pro crypto, pro Bitcoin politicians also working on this new laws, on these new regulatory environments. And I think the result, the change has been really positive more recently. And this is from the point of view of someone that has been working with cryptocurrencies in Latin America for the last 3.5 years, and it's a very expressive change in the mentality of the government, of the politicians, and etc.
That's great. Same as well here in Asia. Not all countries, but most, luckily. Right. Next, let's move on to the XPOS transaction. So every quarter, we will share the top crypto sales by country and also by cryptocurrency. The last quarter, Uganda has actually crept up to the #1 position, which means that the last quarter, we had a lot of crypto sales from Uganda, and that actually placed them #1, followed by Canada, Spain, US, and Brazil. The top cryptocurrency is Pundi X FX, good for us, and BTC, Arrow, and DAI. Arrow is also our distributor in the US. We've been working very well with them, and they've been distributing across US, and their currency is also one of the top crypto sales. The next one is actually using crypto as a form of payment. Again, Uganda is actually #1, followed by Spain, US, Canada, and Brazil. Currency-wise, it's actually Pundi X, Arrow, FX, BTC, and ETH. So we actually see Pundi X token holder not only holding the token, but actually using the token as a form of payment. So thank you guys, and I think that is also one critical part of the token. For X Wallet user base, the most active user countries is actually US, Turkey, Indonesia, India, Brazil, Spain, France, Netherlands, UK, and South Korea. And the most download goes to South Korea, Indonesia, India, US, Turkey, Brazil, Spain, Japan, Netherlands, and Nigeria. As we know, the ranking change every quarter, but it's really good to see, some of our supporters from these countries actually give us a lot of feedback, and we learn a lot from them. Next, XPOS transaction mining. So one of the questions that our holders ask Cryptogon is, what are the news about XPOS transaction mining program? As some of you know, we actually started a trial version of XPOS transaction mining. The purpose of XPOS transaction mining is actually to make XPOS not just a device for payment, which is really important, but also to sell crypto and also to make it what we would like to call it an operating system. We could sell mobile credits, we could sell gift cards, we could sell game credits, because XPOS is essentially an ecosystem. And what we did to actually encourage merchants to do that is actually to roll out an XPOS transaction mining program, which is to motivate and to reward merchants that actually actively use the XPOS, both for buying crypto, accepting crypto, and other usage. And we have started a trial, a very small and simple trial, which actually just ended a couple of days ago, which was very successful, small but focused. And we look forward to getting that out into other XPOS in a larger scale, which means that merchants which manage XPOS will be there to profit from this. Next, let's move on to X Mainnet, right? Many of you know that X Mainnet was launched 3 days ago, and it is actually a culmination of almost 3 years of work. We started coding it almost 3 years ago, and finally we got it out this week. And really, like what our community manager, Sylvia, would say, this is the day of days, because there have been so many focus and some delays, and finally we got it out. And X Mainnet actually launched very successfully. The transaction rate was really very impressive, and the people getting into the mainnet, which means that bridging their ERC20 token into FX Core has been very, very encouraging. So again, I think one thing that we should highlight is what is the relations and difference between PundiX and FunctionX. As you can see, our background have both PundiX and FunctionX, but really what's the difference? PundiX is actually focused on the payments segment, which is the XPOS, XPOS, and actually using crypto as a form of payment. Whereas FunctionX is actually focused on building the blockchain infrastructure. Obviously, both are interrelated. Both will actually grow side by side. And I like to quote what Indra, our manager, said: "What is good for PundiX is good for FunctionX, and vice versa." We will actually start to run sessions of AMA that is focused on PundiX more, which is like the session that we have today, and also sessions that is focusing on FunctionX more. Today, we are more focused on PundiX. We will also talk about some of the FunctionX stuff that is going on, especially those that relate to PundiX, right? One thing that we have been seeing is actually this image, which is stages of mainnet launch. The first stage was launched a couple of days ago, which is the launching of FX Core and the governance of FX Core. And in terms of governance, many of us understood that as a chance to delegate FX. Of course, by delegating FX as of yesterday was was making 200% ish APY. So of course, it's juicy return, but underneath the hood, that delegation actually makes sure that the governance is actually secure, because every 100 FX token is a vote, which means that if a bad actor has enough FX token, he or she will be able to take over the network. That is why governance of FX Core is important. Of course, we are all rewarded with the APY. That is the first stage. The second stage will be very relevant to PundiX, because XPOS will go on chain. We first floated this idea over 6 months ago, which is bringing XPOS and X Wallet, XPass transaction on chain. What does it mean exactly? So next time, João, when I go to Brazil and I buy a Coca-Cola in the co-working space, which has an XPOS, my action would actually be recorded on chain, which means there was a transaction, transaction hash of, say, a 1 PundiX transferred from my wallet to the wallet of the merchant. So that is the second stage, which is bringing XPOS on chain. That is very important, because once we bring them on chain, that opens up a variety of opportunity, DeFi, decentralized opportunity for XPOS. That is why in the previous slide, we said that XPOS is a full ecosystem, not just for accepting crypto and also buying crypto. It is much more than that. So this is the second stage. The third stage is actually introducing DEX's multi-chain synthetic token and multi-validator. I think Scene, which is a supporter, very vocal supporter, recently asked, when is DEX gonna be ready? Well, we are looking at Q3 and Q4. Q3 is basically this quarter. Fingers crossed, we can have a bare bone version running in this quarter. That is our hope, and we will be working very hard on that. That is DEX's. The DEX is actually very different, because it is not focusing on spot exchanges, but it is focusing on perpetual, for those of you that are familiar. And it is not only focused on crypto asset, but also daily asset, like whether it's stocks, commodities, or etc. More on that later in FunctionX own AMA. I believe we will be having one hopefully in sometime mid-August. Right, let's move on to the focus here, which is Pundi X chain. The second stage is actually bringing XPOS transaction on chain, XPass transaction on chain, and any sorts of payments on chain. And that chain will be called a Pundi X chain. So guys, I want you to really take a look at this image and perhaps sink in what this actually means. FX Core, which is the core blockchain of FunctionX, will function as, for a lack of better analogy, like the Swift payment system that connects different blockchain together. And one big major blockchain that we plan to grow is the Pundi X chain. FX Core is already connected to Ethereum. That's why we managed to do a cross-chain transaction since Tuesday. We actually transferred FX token into FunctionX FX Core and delegate the tokens to earn APY. That is what almost all of you did that is tuning to the channel today. That is why we label release for Ethereum. And we are testing on both Binance Smart Chain and also Pundi X chain. Of course, Binance Smart Chain, we are connecting to an existing mature chain with a lot of DeFi elements, and we are testing on Pundi X chain, which is a chain that we are building ourselves. Of course, a lot of things are actually similar to FX Core, so we would also expect delegation of Pundi X token, something that many of you asked in the FunctionX forum. So if I can delegate FX token, can I delegate Pundi X token? Yes, you will be able to delegate Pundi X token into Pundi X chain. Okay, some features of Pundi X chain. One is high throughput transaction. Second is low transaction fees, low latency. XPOS will be integrated from the get-go, and it is point of sales compatible because we really have lots of point of sales that is compatible. Like what João, you have mentioned, we work with Ingenico and also others such as like Pax and Verifone and etc. And we would like to incentivize merchants and payment processors like the XPOS transaction mining. So what we are actually saying is that Pundi X, both the project and the token, will evolve from a payment service to a payments blockchain. Whatever we have been doing, we will continue. But not just on a off-chain environment, but on a on-chain environment using our blockchain. And essentially, the benefits of Pundi X chain, as you can see on the slide, you can actually copy paste the Pundi X chain benefits to FX Core chain and vice versa. So I could easily change the wording Pundi X chain to FX Core. Why? Because it uses the same architecture, which means right now, as you can see from FunctionX.io Explorer, the high-speed throughput that you see will also be available on Pundi X chain. Yeah. Right. So as we were building Pundi X chain, one of the proposals that was floated in the forum is actually to have a Pundi X reward token. Why do we want a reward token? We want to encourage people to hold Pundi X token, and we want to give incentive to the reward token that is being minted from the Pundi X chain. So when we delegate or when holders delegate Pundi X token in Pundi X chain's validator, Pundi X token holders will be rewarded with Pundi X reward token. One question for this AMA was, why don't we just reward token holders with Pundi X token when Pundi X is delegated on the validator? Well, the simple answer is Pundi X is not an inflationary token. It is actually a deflationary. We will not add to the token supply. In fact, we will reduce the token supply, which means that we cannot mint new Pundi X token, but we will be able to reward the Pundi X token holders who hold and delegate, just like the ones FX token holders is doing right now by rewarding a Pundi X reward token. To be honest, initially when we floated this idea, we weren't sure whether the community would accept it. And one revelation that we actually felt was that the forum, which we created about 2 months ago, became a place where we could discuss and discourse and make the idea better. And in the forum, the proposal, the acceptance for this proposal way overwhelms the objection. So let's look at this proposal. I have a Pundi X token. I can delegate my Pundi X token to a validator, right? Very similar to how FX token holders delegate. Very, very similar. And every time when a validator verify a block, the block will generate block reward in the form of Pundi X reward token. The internal project name is actually PR token, right? It's either between PR or PERS, which is the name that the community has voted. And the PR token is actually being rewarded to the validator and delegator. Almost exactly the same as how the FX delegation works. So that is the basic idea. All right, and what is the PundiX reward token used for? What are the utilities? It is being used to buy or even get free XPOS. It is being used for gamification, discount vouchers, redeem other partnership tokens that we hope we can get on board, and also to get into NFT auctions or even free NFT. So these are some of the rewards that we want to give out for token holders. And one thing very interesting, which is how we structure the PundiX reward token. PundiX reward token will not only exist in PundiX chain, which is in the FunctionX ecosystem, but it will also exist in Binance Smart Chain, which means that it is a dual directional token that can exist in both PundiX chain and also Binance Smart Chain. Why did we choose Binance Smart Chain? For those of you who know, we have been working with Binance a lot. I mean, even before they were so big today. Of course, they were already big then, but we have been working with them back then since early 2018. And so we feel that, taking advantage of Binance Smart Chain will allow some of our users to be able to tap into the liquidity and also the DeFi opportunity of Binance Smart Chain, which means that potentially the PundiX reward token can be able to be rewarded on some of the things on Binance Smart Chain. All right. The design philosophy of PundiX reward token. This is what Danny would like to call BDL. So burn distribution liquidity. What does that mean? It means that PundiX reward token is meant for people to hold the token, to actually keep it in their wallet. If they actually transfer the token to another address, 10% will be burned, 10% will be distributed to other token holders. So say João, if you actually transfer your token from your wallet A to wallet B, if you have 100 token, 10 token will be burned, 5 token will actually be distributed to other token holders, and another 5% will be put into liquidity pool, which means after you transfer from your wallet A to wallet B, you will have 80 tokens left compared to 100 from initial. So the reason why we're doing that is because we want people to hold the token, to get reward from the PundiX reward token, but not to speculate it or not to trade it. Of course, you can trade it, and the penalty is actually a 20% reduction. And of the 5%, of the 20% will go to other token holders who actually hold the token. So guys, when will the PundiX reward token be available? User that actually hold their PundiX token from late June onwards, that will actually be counted until the launch of PundiX chain, and the time period of you holding your PundiX token in your own wallet will be calculated as a time for you to be rewarded a PundiX reward token. Okay, give an example. Today I have 100 PundiX token and I keep it in a wallet since June. And say PundiX chain launches in September. So this 3 months of holding PundiX token will be calculated as as a weightage for me to be rewarded my PundiX reward token, which I will receive. And once the PundiX chain launch, I will also be able to allocate my PundiX token into the chain and keep delegating PundiX token to get rewarded with the reward token. I don't think we will be able to explain the whole mechanics in this AMA. So go to the Medium blog post and check it out. There is a complete guideline and tutorial of the PundiX reward token. Next, PundiX deflationary tokenomics. We will have a scheduled token burn. This time it is scheduled on July the 16th. As always, every quarter we will have a token burn, and the next one happening is on the 16th of July. Tokens that are burned will be permanently removed from the token supply forever. Next, we also have token buyback. We had token buyback amounting to $3.7 million US worth of token buyback. And one of the questions that someone actually asked was actually Damien. Damien actually asked, will we be having more token buyback? So token buyback is an initiative by the management team to actually buy back token. I cannot say when we will have it again, but we are committed to continue token buyback periodically as we see fit. So that is our position. We will continue to have token buyback. The third one was actually token redenomination, which we did recently. So redenominated by 1,000 times. All right. The next one, I would like to take a little bit look at the outlook. And before I dive in, maybe we can also let João tell us a little bit about his outlook, say from the business development perspective or even the growth of the Latin American market. Go for it, João.
Right. So I've been seeing the development of the FunctionX blockchain since the beginning. And it's very, very nice to see it, taking shape, going on the mainnet, people delegating, and it's just so nice to see this going on. From the business development point of view, there are so many opportunities. In fact, many of the institutional demands that we receive are for blockchain-based solution, not necessarily for transactions and payments only, but also for many other applications where blockchain is feasible. We are already, in fact, in touch with some of these companies exploring the use cases and how FunctionX can meet their demands. So I think the future is very bright for FunctionX, especially for really real use cases with this ability to process transactions, to mine blocks very fast and very cheaply. I think these are characteristics of a blockchain that will really be embraced by institutionals, by people, by companies, and we will have a very nice place in the blockchain world. Zach, I have some questions here. Is it Q&A already?
Yeah.
All right. So here it goes. What gas fee will XPOS pay, FX or PundiX? From Tom Kubala.
Okay, yeah, I think Tom asked this question. What fees will the XPOS pay? Our idea is that when XPOS moves onto PundiX chain, right? When it moves onto PundiX chain, all the transaction on PundiX chain will be using the native token of Pundi X chain as the gas fee, which in that case is Pundi X token. So good question. Pundi X chain will use Pundi X token as the gas fee because that is the native token.
All right. And here's another one. How many Pundi X token needed to be an XPOS chain validator from Rick?
Right. Right now, we don't have a exact number, but I can share with you the philosophy or the idea of how we choose the number. It is not just plucked out of thin air. For FX, we have 20 validator to start with and increasing. Pundi X chain will also start with a set amount of validator. Let's assume it's 20 validator as the start. And each validator will have its voting power. And that is why we want to set a number for each validator, whereby how many minimum Pundi X token a validator should have, which is the question Rick asked. I don't have an answer right now, but we will have a number that is suitable enough for people to run validator, but not too low that anyone can run a validator, at least from the get-go. Yeah. All right.
Perfect.
All right. So I think we have arrived at almost the end, right? And this last slide actually is a recap or a reminder of the milestone that we plan to achieve. So this was written a couple months back. Paco actually shared it with all of us. In Q3, we plan to deploy Pundi X on FunctionX network, which means in Q3, we plan to launch Pundi X chain. This is the first one. The second one, in Q3, we plan to test decentralized and DeFi functionalities on the XPOS. Once we get onto Pundi X chain, we can actually connect to other use cases whereby it is more decentralized with DeFi element. So 1 and 2 is basically interrelated. The third is actually to explore MPXXM, which is a legacy token whereby we work with NEM Foundation, the NEM token, to actually launch NEM-based XPOS. That didn't happen. And what we will do is that we will explore MPXXM by moving them towards Binance Smart Chain, which in fact, we will be doing with Pundi X reward token. MPXXM token will be absorbed into Pundi X reward token, which means that we will officially sunset the support for MPXXM. It is a good intended initiative for MPXXM in 2018, which did not happen, but I think it's our responsibility to sunset it responsibly, and with the Pundi X reward token, we will do just that. So that is the plan for Q3. The plan for Q4 is actually to introduce more decentralized XPOS module. João, we saw that with a screenshot which we were testing in our labs. XPOS being able to talk to various on-chain wallet, such as Trust Token, such as FX Wallet, etc. Support more ERC20 token. That could happen if item number 1 takes place. Same for item number 3, which is support FX Wallet on-chain transaction. The fourth is actually establish a network of licensed master distributor for XPOS expansion. I think that is something that we spend a lot of time with David and Balan, our compliance team, which is finding the fastest and most effective way to distribute our XPOS and also comply to the local regulation. It is still a very flip-flop situation in some countries whereby, this month the government says no, the next month the government says yes. So I think the master distributor network will be able to solve that once and for all. We will also launch Pundi X reward token plan on Q4 and create more token collateralization use case for Pundi X token. The last item is very important. because Pundi X token will be able to be collateralized to take out US dollar equivalent amount of loans, or to be able to take out, say, a stock, a collateral or something. So we haven't shared a lot about that, but we have been designing for a few months of that. So this is the Q3 and Q4 outlook for Pundi X 2021. So we are very excited about that, and we hope to make all of the items execute. All right. I think we are at the end of the show, our AMA. So once again, thank you guys for joining in, and we are very glad to have João today to share with us all the happenings. So guys, thank you once again for tuning in, especially those that really stayed up late. So stay safe and stay good. Thank you from Pundi X.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for being here with us, for your questions, your time, and we'll keep you posted on the news developments, such as we had today in Istanbul, and many others to come.